Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from a deleted user from the Am I the Arsehole here subreddit and says, would I be the arsehole if I invite my ex-fiance's dad to my wedding? Sorry, but this is going to be a bit long. I'm with my ex-fiance for 5 years. When we were just months into our relationship, I lost my dad in a car accident. He was the only parent I had left since my mum passed when I was 12 to breast cancer. My dad was always a good guy, but ever since mum died, he stepped up big time for me and became the best dad he could be for me, even though he was struggling with mum's death. He never dated after her because he always said she was the love of his life and that he'd rather die alone than with someone else. And because he heard way too many horror stories about horrible stepmoms and didn't want anyone interfering in my relationship with him. So losing him when I was 22 and just graduated college was tough on me. But then my girlfriend, Emily's family, took me in as one of their own. Her younger brothers took me in as one of their own, and her parents treated me like a son, especially her dad George. One time, a few nights after Dad's funeral, I was over at Emily's house and I sat at midnight with her dad alone in their porch. I just cried and talked about Dad, and George just listened to me and comforted me and even hugged me and let me cry on his shoulders, telling me it's going to be alright and that they were all there for me. Ever since that night, he treated me like a son completely and even took me out to do stuff, just the two of us alone, and he always called me son. He was still a great dad to his kids, but I felt he put in more for me to make me feel included and loved, which I always loved and appreciated about him. I even started calling him Dad sometimes out of respect and love for him, which I knew made him happy and proud by the look on his face whenever I said it. I still love my dad and will always do, but I love George nearly as much. I even asked for his permission when I finally decided to propose to his daughter last year of our relationship. And he accepted and shook my hand and hugged me and told me to always take care of his little girl and that he's happy for us and gave me permission to ask her, which she accepted. He offered to pay for our wedding as a gift, which I was very grateful about, and we accepted. But just months before the wedding, I found out she was cheating on me for well over a year and was planning to marry me and get a divorce a few months later to screw me out of the house my dad left me so that she and her partner could move in together. I called off the wedding and thankfully nothing was in her name yet. And she never lived with me, so she absolutely had no rights to my house or any of my assets. I had hundreds of messages between her and her partner discussing how they're going to screw me over. And I showed her family. They were so upset and angry with her, especially her dad, and he personally came over and apologized for what she did. I told him that it wasn't any of his fault and that didn't change how I saw him. We tried to be close afterwards, but my ex flipped out and demanded they all cut contact with me, or she'd cut all of them off. Her dad called me one last time, sad, telling me that he had to cut contact because she was his little girl at the end of the day. I thanked him for everything and told him I still loved him and his family, and told him to tell them all goodbye. He wished me a happy life, and that was the last I ever heard of any of them. Or that's what his family thinks, because we stayed secretly in contact. Not as much as before, obviously, but we kept checking in every once in a while because he genuinely loved me, and I loved him back. And at that point, it had nothing to do with his daughter. He was like an uncle to me. It's been 3 years since we broke up. I've moved on, and months later I started dating one of my closest childhood friends' little sister, who's a widower and single mum of 2 beautiful little girls. And her brother pushed us into saying we'd be perfect together. Her late husband passed away 5 years ago in a car crash while she was still pregnant with their second daughter, which made us closer to the girls since I lost my own dad the same way. The youngest wasn't even born when it happened and is still too young to understand things, but the older daughter is 9 years old and she remembers her daddy, and she talks to me all the time about him and how much she loves and misses him. And she asks whether he's in heaven right now. And I tell her of course, and he's looking down at her and that he's so proud of her and her sister, and she always gets so happy. 2 months ago, with her father's approval, which is a cultural thing here, I proposed to her and she said yes, and we kissed and cried. The girls were with us and they were so happy and excited and were clapping for us. We've been planning our wedding, which is next month, and we're finalizing our guest list. And honestly, I want to invite George because he stayed in contact and was happy and supportive of me when I got with my fiance. But I know that it's going to cause so much drama. But honestly, he's one of the few people that I have left that are family to me, and I want him there. My fiance is completely aware and supportive of our relationship and friendship and says it's completely up to me. Would I be an arsehole if I quietly invite just him, or would it be too far and awkward? Any reasonable advice would really help. Thanks. It sounds like such a lovely yet awful situation at the same time. Like he stepped in when you needed a father figure most and he gave you what you needed in that moment, and it sounded absolutely lovely the way he took you in. But for me, you're not inviting your ex's dad. You're inviting George, someone who's been family to you for years and has continued to support you even through the breakup drama. Emily's the one who's tried to manipulate her family into cutting contact with you. But if I'm being completely honest, and there was a part of me that was questioning my head, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, so, as always, never think I'm completely right or anything like that. I think it's always a discussion and I love to hear people's sides on things. But when George said, she's my little girl at the end of the day, it felt pretty weak to me. Again, I don't know if that's right or wrong. I know she's his daughter, but Emily was trying to steal a house from a grieving son, and Opie actually has proof of that. I've never been in the situation, but anyone who was plotting that kind of behavior, I would certainly be giving them the side eye, right? But Two Dogs Life says, I absolutely think you should invite him. But I would tell him first and ask him where he wants you to send the invitation. Maybe to avoid drama. He wants it sent to work or somewhere else. You don't mention his wife, but it's standard good manners that you invite spouses. So she'd be included in the invitation. It's up to them to decide if they accept and if they both attend or only one does. I wish you only the best. Congratulations on your upcoming marriage. Opie replies saying thanks. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing. His wife was so nice and sweet to me, and he always says that she asks about me sometimes. Tall Charge says ask George. Tell him you want him there, but you understand he has to put his family first. Ask him to come. Ask him if it is appropriate for an official invitation. He sounds like a wonderful man. Opie says I already talked to him and he said he'd be honored to come, but would also understand if I don't invite him. Cultural Surprise says, I don't understand the point of your post. You already talked to him. He said he'd be honored to be there. Asked and answered. Opie says on one hand I want him there because he's the closest thing I have to real family, because I don't have any uncles or aunts or grandparents and obviously no parents. But on the other hand, this might start some drama. Little Taipan says, looks like you already answered that concern in your comment above when he said that he'd be honored to come. I think he understands the risks, sees you as a son and would love to attend but doesn't want to pressure you. Probably because your fiance may be uncomfortable with your ex's family coming to your wedding. Since she understands and supports you, invite him. Tell him you understand if he can't make it for family reasons and leave it at that. Good luck. I'm glad you two have kept the relationship going even if it's not as frequent. You obviously mean a lot to each other. He's a great guy. Opie says he said it'd be okay with whatever I decide, but I still don't know what to do. So Opie does come in with her update and says, hey, I'm posting this from a different account because I got suspended on my original account for some reason. So pretty much all of you suggested I invite him over and just see what happens, and honestly, that's what I was planning to do. You all just gave me the courage to do it, and I did it early this morning. Thanks to all of you. So I texted him good morning. When he responded, I asked whether he could talk on the phone, and he said of course, and so I called him. After some small talk, I told him that he's under no pressure, that it's completely up to him. But I'd love for him to be there at my wedding, not just as some guest, but as a close family member. I told him that the invitation is open to him and his entire family, including his wife and the boys, and even my ex if she wanted, since if it meant he'd be there, then I'd be open to it. He got emotional and wished me a happy wedding and said he's honored that I'd still respect him that much, and promised me that at least he'd definitely be there for me, but wasn't sure about his family and that he'd get back to me about it. A few hours later, he called me back excited, saying that he talked to his wife and family and they're all coming. He said that my ex has no problem with it and actually told him to wish me good luck. He then invited me over to their place for dinner later tonight because she wanted to apologize for how things went between us. And he told me to bring my fiance and the little girls over because he and his wife wanted to meet them, especially the girls because she loves children. I was so happy to hear that and told him I'd ask her if she was comfortable with it, and he said of course. I talked with my fiance about everything, and she's been so happy for me because she knows how much George means to me, and she agreed to go with me and the girls tonight. I went and got one of those chocolate gift baskets with a nice whiskey bottle inside and an official invitation. Thanks to all of you. Federal Internal says, I think you handled this with so much grace. Inviting him not just as a guest but as family was such a powerful gesture. Glad your fiancée is so supportive too. It makes all the difference. Opie says she's the best anyone could ask for. I still don't know how I managed to get someone so beautiful inside and out. Recent says great news. Just out of curiosity, how did things turn out for your ex? What was a really scummy thing she tried to do to you? Is she still with the guy she cheated and plotted against you with? Opie says yeah, they're married now. Actually had their wedding the same day as ours was supposed to happen since most of the deposits for venues were already paid and they were non-refundable anyways. They have a son and daughter on the way. Commodore says, did you ever get an explanation why she tried to con you into this marriage scam? Opie says no, but my dad was a pretty successful guy and he left a life-changing amount of money and a great fully paid off 4-bedroom house, so I could see why she stayed with me and tried to take it. What? I can't. That's just fucking scummy. Do reply saying, thank God you didn't put her name on anything, right? Opie says, I probably was never going to put her name on it anyway, even if we had gotten married. I just felt it'd be disrespectful to Dad's memory. Do replied again saying, just curious if your new fiance's name is on anything. Opie says no, but it was her decision. She's a pretty successful doctor, and I'm just a middle school teacher. She makes way more money than I do. Her parents wanted us to sign a prenup just in case, where she'd keep all her money and assets in case of divorce and I'd keep mine. My house is included in that. And I'm glad that things seem to be working as well as they can for Opie at the moment. Getting in touch with George again and, getting his dreams. But in some respects as well, I'm not sure how he could be in that same room as the ex who cheated on him and tried to swindle him out of his house that his dad left him at the same time. I wouldn't be able to host someone and pay for their food as well. That just seems a bit wild to me. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from the advice subreddit. Just to give you a warning before we do get into this one, it contains talk of domestic violence. You'll get it from the title. It's from cosmicjed, who says, girlfriend just punched me in the face multiple times. So my long-term girlfriend just had an absolute meltdown after we left dinner from her parents' house tonight. It all started because her dad and I were watching old family videos and joking about how her and her sisters were dressed, and just really light stuff about how big her great-grandpa's nose was. Her dad pointed out and was like, dude has a schnoz on him, and I laughed. That's all. I swear to all things holy. Fast forward to me driving home tonight. She turns off the music on the radio that I had turned on and starts trashing me about my family and how it's strange and creepy that I actually get along with my mum, dad and sister and have a drama-free relationship with them, and she can't stand it. So anyway, I'm reading my Kindle in the living room of my house and she goes off again about some petty bullshit that I somehow did, and I'm reading a book. So I did what anyone else would do and just shut up and let her vent and get it out without giving her any ammunition to feed on. Wrong fucking move. I took my eyes off her for a second to continue reading on the couch, and she gave me a 3-piece so fast that it caught me off guard. I jumped up so she was not on top of me. She proceeded to slap the taste out of my mouth. Then she blocks the front door and screams for me to get away from her while blocking the only exit to leave. I'm in my boxers and I'm trying to grab my phone off the floor that went flying across the room. And all I can hear is her yelling with the door open, trying to have the whole neighborhood hear this shit. Anyway, I'm now sitting in my car with just boxers on with a bloody lip, and I thought I'd ask the internet for advice, and by internet, I mean Reddit. Small update in the comments from OP which says, she's probably destroying my desktop and TVs as we sit here and type. I just drove to the country club to grab some of my clothes that I leave in my locker. Had a buddy of mine come meet me in the parking lot, so I've got shorts and a shirt on now. Life's getting better. My first thoughts on this was reporting this to the police absolutely immediately, punching you 3 times, and I was just thinking about, is there a history of this kind of thing in the background? I mean, you was describing her anger at your healthy family relationships, and she went with verbal attacks and physical violence and then blocking your exit at the same time. It's just straight up abusive. Forget the sweet spot says I would have knocked her out. I'm not into hitting women, but if she's throwing punches, oh well. This also sounds like drugs or drinking. Regardless, get her arrested and move your shit while she's in jail. Don't bail her out. There's no excuse for this. Actually get along with my parents. It's because her family sucks and sounds trashy. Opie says, she's the only person I know who smokes weed and gets nasty and rude towards people. It blows my mind how she acts. Get the sweet spot reply saying it's time to end it. This could flip around to you two fighting and the police believing her. I do believe she'd lie to save her own butt. Juice says call the police immediately to have something on record. Any further interactions or conversations with her should be recorded until you can get the fuck out of there. And you need to get the fuck out of there or kick her out if it's your place. Fuck that noise. I don't condone hitting women, even when it's justified, and there are absolutely women out there that do shit to deserve it. It's best to remove yourself from the situation so it cannot escalate further. Opie says it's my place, but I'm definitely not going back home tonight. Fuck that. Specialist says, you went to Reddit instead of the police and hospital. I think a hospital report would help solidify a restraining order in suing her. Make her pay for the medical bills. People will need to be held accountable for their actions. Opie says, well, I've never been hit before like that by my girlfriend, and I wasn't sure if we'd both go to jail even if I called. So I need to ask before I do something that could affect my life big time. Specialist replies saying, since you're the one with the injury and she isn't, she most likely would have been going to jail. Get in the habit of getting evidence, from pictures to videos, because some women will lie saying they're the ones being abused. Dalton says, bro, you need to call the police. Right now. Have them come and treat you first. Tell them you're bleeding, and then press charges against her. You also need to file a restraining order. This is assault. It's not manly to suck it up and get over it. You could end up with a big hospital bill over this. Opie says, yeah, that's what's stopping me. My subconscious is, like, be a man, no cops needed. But damn, after reading everyone's post, I feel obligated just for my protection and freedom to call. So OP at some point later comes in with her update and says, first off, I just want to say thank you to everyone who gave me advice in the messages that were sent in my inbox, full of support and more advice. Before the comments locked, I just had my buddy meet me up at our local country club so he could grab some of my clothes that I left in my locker. And I just ended up staying the night over at his house and talked about what happened. His wife said 99% of what everyone on Reddit told me to do. Contact the police, file a report and get a restraining order on this crazy chick. I slept on it. The next morning I wake up at my buddy's house and I get a call from her dad and sister telling me how sorry they were about everything that happened the night before and how she's always acted crazy when someone didn't agree with her or gives her a reality check. They told me she was over there sleeping and they would gladly come over and help retrieve her things from my house. I go back to my house in the morning to inspect the damage. Luckily for me, there was only a few broken picture frames and a busted wine bottle on the ground. And a few friends come over before our family got there just in case she ends up driving over separately from her dad and sister. I wanted some witnesses for myself. Definitely didn't want to be alone. Her family comes over and gives me a hug and tells me everything is going to be okay and there's no need to future anything by getting the law involved, and somehow had me totally convinced that I shouldn't, and it was just a little blow up and things are called off and just to go our separate ways and end things. Around 8:30 AM, her dad and sister leave my house with all her belongings, and it's me and my buddies just doing some cleaning here and there. We found my Nintendo Switch smashed and thrown out in my backyard. My keyboard from my computer with peanut butter smeared all over its keys and all the batteries in my remotes throughout the house gone. Not as bad as I thought the house would be, but I took pictures of everything. The damaged electronics, the peanut butter keyboard, bottles and glass on the ground before we started doing any cleaning. So around 10 in the morning, the house is clean and looks like nothing happened inside my place, besides the stand rug that absorbed the red wine bottle she smashed on the ground. We checked all the doors and windows to make sure everything was locked and secured. We all went to Costco for some food and supplies. It's Sunday, and it's still a beautiful day out, so why not get some burgers for grilling and have some brews with the boys? Make the most of this shitty situation. So we're grilling and chilling in my backyard, talking about everything that happened to me the night before. I got my buddies laughing at me and telling me, "I told you she was crazy. You're lucky she didn't stab you in your sleep." Meanwhile, I'm still convinced I'm not going to pursue legal action. Then I got a text from her. It said, "I see you have your boyfriends over at the house. Are you," a homophobic slur, "having fun drinking and being losers together?" I forgot I logged her into my security cameras I have around the outside of my house months ago when on vacation. The next text I receive is her saying, "Have fun trying to find your keys at the bottom of the lake. Have fun. Better bring your snorkel." So in my backyard there's a pretty big lake that I live on, and I have a dock that goes out about 20 yards or about 18 meters for metric users. And on this set of keys are my office/work truck/boat keys and everything important. I check the cameras and sure enough I see her walking out there and throwing something off the end of the dock. I show my friends the text and video of what happened and they look at each other and say, "I guess it's swimming time." We get our board shorts and grab a few of my scuba masks that I have in my garage and head to the lakeshore for the side quest that she has gave us. One of my friends has a magnet fishing thing in his car and jumped up immediately excited to get the chance to use it. 2 hours later, and no luck. I about gave up at this point and can't see the bottom anymore from everyone kicking up the settlements when swimming and pushing off the ground to shoot back up for air. Plus there was a storm rolling in to make matters worse. All of a sudden my buddy says he feels something on his magnet. He pulls up slowly and sure the fuck enough he finds my keys. Celebration commences. At that point the fog that her dad and sister had me in cleared and I lost it. I called the cops non-emergency line and told them everything that happened in the last few days, and I wanted to make sure she's on record and take accountability for everything that happened. I gave them pictures, wrote a report, and filed a restraining order on her. Gave them the video of her walking out to the dock and throwing an object into the water. No one has the right to put hands on anyone regardless of gender, and it's not fair to others in my situation that got the short end of the stick and now have that attached to them permanently. I did it for the next guy who's unlucky to fall into a trap of manipulation. The cops left and said they're going to be in touch soon. Fast forward to today, I get an angry text from her dad saying, "How could you do this? You're the biggest pussy in the world, and you're going to ruin someone's life over a few punches to the face. Be a man." I told him to stop texting me and take care of his family. Then her sister calls me saying, "Good luck trying to find her. She flew out to California the day you were looking for your keys in the lake. She's never coming back, so you wasted your time and made yourself look like a bitch." She hung up and blocked me. Isn't life grand? I'm not sure what that means for her now that she skipped town and is in another state, but we will see. I just wanted to update everyone and thank you guys for the supportive comments on my post and left me messages in my inbox. When the comments got locked, I tried to reply to everyone that DM'd me, but my mailbox got flooded and couldn't get to them all. I never thought the post would blow up the way it did. I was shocked, confused, and actually scared when I posted. But things are looking bright for me and my life's getting a lot better. Again, thank you Reddit community for all the help and advice you gave me. You guys truly deserve this win. Finn Resource says to OP, "Proud of you." Absolutely on that comment. OP says thank you. Felt a lot better than I thought it would. I'm a firm believer now that domestic violence can go both ways and it's not just one way. Jammer says absolutely. Even though women are typically physically weaker in a domestic violence situation, they also experience the same shame of, "I could have stopped this." My guess is that the cops will be pissed that she left the state to evade and may pursue her harder. Did you get the phone call recorder? Because you might want to unblock to gather more evidence. However, do what's best for you in the big picture. Opie says she blocked me. Sorry, I should have made that clear. Her sister called, talked shit, and blocked me. Annie says perfect. Now all you have to do is change every password for everything you use online and block her and her entire family. Opie says as soon as she said, She was watching me and my friends grilling and drinking some beers in the backyard. I immediately changed my password for my Ring system. Affectionate says, if you haven't yet, I would change your locks as well. She could have copied them if she's this crazy. Opie says that's a good idea. I'll call the locksmith right now. Manipulative says, nice of her dad to take you some potential evidence. Interesting reply saying, I know, the whole family is so helpful. Her sister skipped town. She's in Cali. Good luck finding her. I thought that as well. What a wild thing to say. Patient says, sounds like they're in on evading the cops. I'd pass all that info on to the police and file a restraining order against their dad and sister too. What they did might be regarded as intimidation of a witness on top of harassment. Another commenter says, great job. Sounds like her family consistently enables her crazy behavior and covers up for her. I hope that family gets everything they deserve. And Mr. Redrick says, man, she's going to have fun when whatever state puts a warrant on her for domestic abuse and the DOC system gets to transfer her back to her original county. Hope she's across country. That trip can take months. What an absolute wild ass family they are, and Opie absolutely dodged a bullet in this situation. What do you guys make of this? What would you do in this situation? I found it, like some of the comments said in this one, that they kept shooting themselves in the foot, the family members, saying, you know, ha, she's ran away to California. You'll never find her. Just thought, you fucking idiots, right? But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows.